Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scoops VFLW Game Changers Show. I'm your host, Scoops, the sole admin of Scoops. And what an episode we have on the VFLW Game Changers. We had some results that were very disappointing for some sides. Some results that weren't so much upsets this round, but more so some sides I feel like would be so disappointed with how they went and what they're capable of, and just what they didn't do, which is just very disappointing for some, which is probably headlined by a side that has high expectations, and that's my side, Sandy. Obviously, Erica Fowler has been drafted to the Geelong AFLW side, so run onto Erica for that. She left a massive hole for the Sandy side this week and will for the future weeks because she's a very important player. They lost Ellery Morris to a ruptured Achilles at training only a week or so ago. They lost her. Lauren Brazzali, who was going to be their captain originally, went to Richmond in the AFLW on the verge of round one. It was like round two or something. So they lost her as well. Sophie Locke only just came back from injury, who was another ex-AFLW player. So they haven't had the best of luck, whether it's through injuries or players getting drafted to the AFLW side, which is great for those people individually. For the side, they've been pushed to the limits the last few weeks. They had the Williamstown draw last week before the weekend just gone, and then Port Melbourne as well. Sorry, Port Melbourne was a draw and Williamstown they lost. So, they're having a bit of everything at the moment, Sandy. They only had a draw in the last 3 games. They're in the top 6 at the moment. The ladder is so tight, which we'll get to at some point throughout the show this evening. It's just very disappointing if you're a Sandy supporter and how they performed against the Pies, because 53 points, it could have been and should have been a lot worse if Collingwood could kick straight. So if you haven't checked out that match day vlog too, Collingwood Sandy, please go and check it out. I would greatly appreciate it. Share this video around, but this channel around, this show, everything like that. Hopefully we can get some more people on this show and other shows in future weeks and months and years. Carlton had a massive win, albeit against Casey, an impressive win nonetheless. Darebin and Geelong, a result I expected. Williamstown and Bulldogs in a low-scoring affair. And North Melbourne did a number on Port Melbourne in the end when it counted. So, yeah, lots of results to go through. And obviously, Box Hill beat Essendon in what was an interesting affair that could have gone either way if you look at how it started. So, we'll get to all that in the review section. There is a VFLW competition bye this round, which I do not like. So let's get into that right now. So if you know any VFLW players or any State League players or AFLW players and you'd like to send them on the podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview, please do send me a message. We'll try to get something sorted. Hopefully get some more players on the show within the next few weeks. Got a few I'm talking to, or more than a few, but 2 look like it's going to happen within this week or so. So let's hope that ends up happening. So, all right, let's now start off with the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang Boom. Well, there's 2 things I want to bang on about. And the first one is this. We are 7 rounds in to a 14-round competition. So 14 weeks for some sides. Why are we having a competition bye at the halfway point? Like, why? It's 14 rounds, not 28 rounds. It's 14 rounds. There is no need for a bye. These weeks are the perfect opportunity to showcase VFLW footy, women's footy in general. Because the AFL don't have many games on at the moment throughout the next 5 weeks, and you should be capitalising on that, and you're not. Why? More eyes on the product, the better. And just in general, I don't like competitions having weeks off, bye rounds, everything like that. But a competition bye, why? It's not needed. It's 7 rounds in. Like, you just don't need it. It's frustrating. This would have been the perfect week for a lot of people to go to games, but there won't be any, which is just really frustrating. Like, I just don't get it. I really don't. It's just unbelievable how there's a competition bye, and why is there buys in general? Don't need a bye. But, yeah, we'll see. Now, this is a key talking point. If you go to Victoria Park, which is where I was on the weekend, I've been there 3 times this VFLW season already. Plenty of times in the past for the VFLW and AFLW, and just in general. The condition of that ground is a complete disgrace. It's embarrassing. Now, you captured a little bit in my vlog at the start of the game, start of the video, in fact. I pan across to the ground. Now, albeit you can't see the whole ground in that shot, you can see little patches of dirt and holes and everything like that on that ground. Now, I understand people say it's a public venue, and anyone can access it. Sure, they can, absolutely. But people can access Gosh's Paddock, which is Melbourne's training ground, and Collingwood's training ground, the AIA Centre, and both grounds look perfect. I've been to both those grounds plenty of times to know that it's publicly accessible and it looks perfect. Even at its worst, it still looks far better than Vic Park. Now, if you recall in the AFL, Dan McStay done his ACL on Victoria Park in a training session. Tom Mitchell had a long-term injury while training on that ground or playing on that ground for VFL. It gets to a point, if this is how the surface is going to look, they cannot play any state league level games or AFLW games or VFL games or VFLW on this ground anymore until it's fixed up. The goal squares just look downright embarrassing. There was no rain on the weekend and it still looks bad. I was on the ground. I had a kick on there. But for people playing on that ground, it's just downright terrible. The boundary line has so much bad spots with dirt and everything like that, and just holes. In the vlog, you can see on the field, around the edge of the center square, or on the wings, it just looks horrible on the side away from the bench, from the grandstand way. It looks horrible. Absolutely horrible. Now, I was speaking to some people about this, and they're saying it might be a council issue in that Yarra area or whatever. Well, they need to fix that. Whoever's in charge of fixing it needs to fix it. Because the groundsman having to do what they had to do. Who gets the blame? Is it the council? Is it the people that run that ground? Is it the clubs involved? I don't think it's the clubs. But it seems like it's the council from what I spoke to a few people about this. So they really need to fix this ground because it's very dangerous. Now, anyone can get injured on any ground. But, there's injuries happening on this ground mainly because of the surface, more so than actual injuries themselves. People are doing their knees and ACLs and Achilles and everything like that on this ground. That ground is very dangerous to play professional football on. Even local footy shouldn't be played on that. That should be how Gosh's Paddock is treated. Just a ground for people to access that may have a random training session on from time to time. That council need to seriously fix that ground. They've had renovations or things done to that ground. Well, clearly it hasn't worked. And I don't notice any differences. I'm sure people listening and watching and listening to this right now know exactly what I'm talking about. People that have played on it for points or people that are spectating the game. It looks horrible. The ground itself, the condition of the ground. That seriously needs to be fixed before more people get hurt. To the people involved in making the ground look like how it is and not fixing it or not doing enough to fix it properly, lift your game. It's pretty embarrassing if you ask me. Right, hope you guys and girls enjoyed that edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Right, now, just a reminder, we're halfway through the season, but at the end of the home and away season, I will be having my Scoops VFLW medal for the first ever time. Now, I've had 2 editions of the Scoops AFLW medal. I've had 4 editions of the Scoops AFL medal, but for the first time ever, we will have the Scoops VFLW medal. Who will be the inaugural Scoops medal winner for the VFLW competition? Let's just say there's a lot of players that are doing so well this year. How do I put it? There's a lot of names in the conversation I'm not going to give you names because, I don't want you to know my leaderboard, and maybe I might throw you off. You never know. I might say names that are going well, but may not be polling well. So I have to wait and see. My vote counts, if you watch any of my other vote counts, my AFLW one, my AFL one, I always make it look good. I always put so much effort in for all of you. Like I do with every video, I put in effort for every video I do, no matter what it is, whether it's a match day vlog, a goal kicking challenge, an interview, a podcast like this, any form of a video, I put in 100% effort into each and every video I do. I dedicate my time to this channel more than basically anything else. So, yeah, just want you all to know that. So the Scoops VFLW medal will be crowned probably after round 14, between then and the week 1 of finals, or maybe during finals. I'll have to figure that out, but more than likely after the round 14 season. Hopefully, we'll have some plays on for that episode. Obviously, in the past, in the AFLW medal, the Scoops AFLW medal, for the inaugural show, I had BT Brenner from the Swans on, a young superstar defender for the Swans. And my AFL ones have been absolute cliffhangers, just like the AFLW ones. Last year in the AFLW medal, I had a 4-way tie: Mon Conti, Jazz Garner, Ebony Marinoff, and Ash Riddell. The inaugural winner the year prior was Jazz Garner, who's technically a two-time Scoops AFLW medal winner. Mon Conti, Ebony Marinoff, and Ash Riddell are all one-time Scoops AFLW medal winners. And in the men's competition in the AFL, Jack McRae, Touk Miller, Tom Green, and Jack Sinclair, a superstar 4-person lineup for winners of the Scoops AFL medal. So let me repeat this one more time. For both those competitions, 2-time winner Jazz Garner, and all 1-time winners Jack Sinclair, Touk Miller, Tom Green, Jack McRae, Mon Conti, Ebony Marinoff, Ash Riddell. So who will join those names and being crowned a Scoops medal winner? But more importantly, who will be crowned the first ever inaugural Scoops VFLW medal winner? Let's just say if the rounds were to end now, let's just say, boy, oh boy, wowee. If it's going to end how it is currently, it's going to be a great vote count night. Let's just say that. I don't want to give it away because I want you to watch the show, and it's going to be a big show. Hopefully, I'm going to get as many players on as possible. So if you're a VFLW player or an AFLW player and you want to be on the VFLW Scoops medal show also, or just that, please send me a message on Instagram, AFL Info Live, which is right there, because I'd love to have you on. Right. So let's now go through my Scoops VFLW Round 7 Team of the Week. From the back line, the pockets, Eleanor Butler and Stella Reid. Fullback, Isabel Porter. Half-back line, the flank is Molly Eastman and Sarah Sinetti. Centre half-back, Nadia Von Bertouch. Wingers, Octavia D. Donato and Bella Clark. Centre woman, Matilda Fitzgerald. Half-forward line, the flank is Gabby Collingwood and Meg McDonald. Centre half-forward, Nike DeJock. Forward pockets, Courtney Jones and Evie Lee. The forward pockets, Courtney Jones and Evie Lee. Full forward, Monique Di Matteo. Ruck, Paige Price, Rovers, Abby McDonald and Amy Trinidad. Interchange, Stacia Stevenson, Abby Vaffel, Sarah Pousty, Mia Caffrey, and Caitlin Bunker. The emergencies, Elle Chaston, Alyssa Misford, Chloe Saltry, Emily Eves, Dom Carbone, and Emily Hurley. Now, the reasons for these selections are as follows. So from the backline, we have Eleanor Butler, who had an amazing game, had over 10 intercept possessions, had like 19 disposals, was one of the best on the ground, if not the best on the ground, for Box Hill over their win over the Bombers. Isabel Porter was good in the backline for Essendon, had about 10 intercept possessions herself, and had a really impact for the Bombers. Stella Reid with a stellar performance. Again, around 9 to 11 intercept possessions in about a 16 disposal game for Stella Reid, who was really stellar, if you will pardon the pun, in her game on the weekend in their win over Port Melbourne. Molly Eastman, now, Courtney Jones, who we'll get to shortly, was amazing with 3 goals and 14 disposals. But Molly Eastman, I mean, who's on the poster right here for the Pies, she was fantastic. The former Tiger from the AFLW side. You know, I'm going to give her flowers. She was so good on the weekend. I mean, every time I was filming my vlog, and in the rare opportunity that Sandy got the ball in their forward line, which was very rare, might I add, her work is just so far above the rest right now. In her side, and most of the teams going around at the moment. Molly Eastman, I mean, I've been to 3 Collingwood games, and she's dominated in all 3 of them. But the weekend, it just felt a little bit different. This game was just like beyond excellence. She was phenomenal. Probably one of the best backline performances I've seen this VFLW season as a whole. I've been to like 6 games, and at least in person, that is clearly the best game from a backman I've seen all year. She was fantastic. You know, I tell you right now, in those rare opportunities Sandy had, she was basically involved in every inside 50 that Sandy did get that went to a turnover or intercept mark from the Pies. Molly Eastman was always involved. Let's just say, I don't normally reveal my votes, but I'm telling you right now, going off the way I'm talking, I think you can tell how many votes she'll be getting. She was downright phenomenal from Molly Eastman. You know, let me just read to you her stats from the weekend. It's just pretty damn impressive from Molly Eastman. I mean, you had to watch the game to know, because the stats were still amazing, but it was even better if you're at the game. She had 20 disposals, Molly Eastman, with 5 marks, 3 tackles, but most importantly, 10 intercept possessions and 4 inside 50s, and even 2 score involvements and a clearance for a half-back. You know, Richmond let her go, but I'm sure she'll get another go somewhere else before her footy career is over. I don't expect her to be on a Pies list in the VFLW for much longer, which is a good thing for her, because that means she's probably on an AFLW list again, where she deserves to be. Nadia von Betouch, who used to play AFLW not too long ago, about 4 years ago, is she in line for a recall? She's been fantastic as well. Around 20 disposals for a key defender, and all their intercept possessions. I did say that she had the best individual game for a backman when they played Sandy that I saw in person. Well, Molly's now passed her for that. But Nadia, again, was phenomenal on the weekend as well. Sarah Sinetti had 15 disposals, like 8 intercept possessions. Was good for the Bulldogs in their loss over Williamstown. Octavia Di Donato. Now, some weeks she's racked up good disposals. She's getting around 20 disposals every week. But it's the tackling and the contested possessions that I'm impressed by. She kicked a goal again on the weekend, which she's done a few times this year now in recent weeks. So she deserved a spot in the team. Matilda Fitzgerald had about 10 intercept possessions, but had like 6 clearances as well. Again, over 20 disposals, and another Blues player that did very well in their massive win over Casey. Bella Clark was one of the best on the ground for the Pies against Sandy. Had like 8 clearances and had like 20 possessions. She had a good fan club standing near me for half a game or so, and she was pretty good for the Pies over Sandy. Speaking of Collingwood, Gabby Collingwood, though, this time, you know, kicked a goal for Box Hill, 15 disposals, like 7 intercept possessions. 7 intercept possessions. She was just really good and deserved a spot in the side. She may make the All-Australian team come the end of the season. Nike DeJock kicked 3 goals, and all at important stages for the Roos. The X factor of the competition is Nike DeJock, and she played a key part in their win over Port Melbourne, kicking 3. Meg McDonald had 25 disposals for Casey. I mean, I feel bad for someone like Meg McDonald, because she's literally carrying the team on her back. 25 disposals, but had 8 clearances, and that's not uncommon for her to do that. She gets that like every week. That's Meg McDonald. But busts her ass off. Does really well for Casey and G. If they didn't have her, I'd worry if I was them to know what the margins would be, and they're already big enough most of the time. Courtney Jones, 3 goals, 14 disposals. She was fantastic, and if Molly Eastman didn't play, she would have easily been best on ground. And, you could argue she was, and I thought she was phenomenal, but Molly Eastman, again, best individual performance for a backman I've seen in person at least all season. Monique Di Matteo kicked 5. Granted, 3 late when the game was over, but 5 goals is still phenomenal. Evie Lee for Carlton, 2 goals and 14 disposals. She was really good up forward. Her best game of her career easily, and I'm sure she's happy with that. Paige Price, again, I think this is about the 3rd week in a row she's made the team of the week as the ruck. Around 30-odd disposals. Hit-outs. Over 10 disposals. She was very good for the Box Hill Hawks in their win over Essendon. Speaking of Essendon again, Abby McDonald kicked a goal, 22 disposals, like 8 clearances. She was very good. Amy Trinidad, about 26 disposals, about 8 clearances. A lot of contested possessions. I think it was around 14, so she deserved a spot on the side. And her efficiency was over 60%, which is good. Sasha Stevenson had 19 disposals and about 8 tackles. Was really good. Abby Vaffel, about 22 disposals. I think 12 clearances, so she absolutely deserved a spot on the team. Sarah Powsey for the Bulldogs. She is an AFLW player for the Bulldogs AFLW side, a top draft pick, their first draft pick. She had 20 disposals and like 6 tackles. Mia Caffrey from Port Melbourne had about 11 contested possessions, and she was really good through the midfield and everything else. Bit of a utility. And Caitlin Bunker had 22 disposals for Darebin and about 8 clearances, and she was really good. Elle Chaston was stiff. She's probably been stiff a few weeks, 25 disposals, but I think the others had a bit more impact that are on the bench over her. Alyssa Misford had 12 clearances, so she was very hard to not put in the side. Her own teammate, Caitlin Bunker, and Port Melbourne's Mia Caffrey kept her out of the side. Chloe Salty was Sandringham's best player, with 16 possessions in the back line and about 8 intercept possessions. So you could say she was stiff to not make the final team. Very close, though. Probably Sarah Sanini kept her out of the side. Emily Eves had 12 clearances with 14 disposals for Williamstown. Dom Carbone, I know she kicked a goal and had 27, so you could say he was really stiff. But I had Alyssa Misford ahead and all the midfielders on the bench ahead of her. It's just stiff and unlucky. And Emily Hurley for Carlton kicked 2 goals with about 11 disposals and about 14 hit-outs as the backup ruck for Grace in Carlton's side. So that's my team of the week. Let me know your thoughts down below. All right. Please welcome back the world-famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. Now, something I wasn't impressed with what the Bulldogs did with their VFLW side this week. It's a bit of a pet peeve at the moment. Now, other sides that had played some AFLW players, like Carlton, Sandy did early, Casey did early, but not for long. They've stuck with their VFLW listed players for like 4 rounds now. It was like the first 2 weeks, 3 max. Carlton may have had them for a few weeks longer. Bulldogs had them for every week this season, bar last week, and they lost. Now this week, they brought in 4 or 5 players, Jess Fitzgerald, Sarah Powsty, Brittany Gutschneck, and a few others as well. Chrissy Lee Weston Turner, there you go. There's the 4. But it's probably allowed. Clearly it's allowed. But, like, is it fair? I don't think it is. Like, they lost, right? Last week against Box Hill, they choked a lead and got smashed in the end. Like, it's not just that they played AFLW plays. Like, how would you feel if you're a Bulldogs VFLW listed player who's hardly played a game all year, or none, because they want to just randomly put in AFLW players? Like, the competition is for VFLW players. Like, I think that's where it should stop. There should be a limit in terms of a round when, okay, no more AFLW players no matter what. Especially in large chunks of numbers like the Bulldogs have been doing. They thought, we've been winning with AFLW players in, so let's do this. What kind of mentality does that set to your VFLW listed players, who, by the way, they lost so many? And I know for a fact, and this ain't bullshit, that some left because they didn't like that, where AFLW players just waltz in whenever they feel like it and get a game. Like, they lost so many names, partially because of that, better opportunity and everything like that. And there was about 6 or so regulars that were playing for them every week for them last year, for most of the season, if not all, that left because they just didn't want to be shafted all the time. Or, you know, they wanted to be playing in their positions. So they left. And they're all doing really well in the teams they're now at in any competition. So what about the current players that are on the VFLW list right now for them? How would they feel about this? That they're getting shafted, that they joined this club for hoping for opportunity and they're not getting any or very little because the Bulldogs want to keep randomly playing AFLW players whenever they want to. Now, the players they've been playing aren't players that have been coming back from a long-term injury or anything like that. So players like that I would understand. But these players are first-round draft picks or have played plenty of games already. Like, some of the Bulldogs players that have been playing are their top draft picks, number 1 draft pick, pick 8, this year's first-round draft pick, some of their best players in the midfield and other positions. Like, I don't think it's fair. Like, Hawthorn this year had the mentality of no one. Last year, they had half their team, almost 3/4. And I didn't like that then. And the way the Bulldogs are doing it, I don't like it now. Because if the Bulldogs were to make the final series, I feel like it wasn't fully earned because the AFLW players mainly got them across the line. If they get through with their VFLW players, they deserve it. But do they really deserve it if the AFLW players are the ones that got them the wins and therefore got them in the finals? Like, even for them, I don't feel like that's good because then when the finals are coming around, the AFLW is about to start, so it's going to be VFLW players only who may have not played many games all year. And then where's the gel and chemistry there? Like, it's not going to really be there that well compared to other sides who've had a whole season of VFLW players playing 99% of the games over the AFLW ones. Like, you've had 60% of your side be AFLW players all year. And how's that show to the players you want to recruit? Why would any other player who's on the cusp of getting picked, why would they want to come there when they're seeing all these AFLW players play? I'm telling you right now, some players that have missed out for them this year are players that should be walk-up starts in that side that haven't. You know, players that played in their grand final side that are still there, haven't played every game this year because of the surplus of AFLW players, as I say, midfielders. The whole surplus, or they've played midfield and forward and every other position backline. Like, I don't get it. It didn't work on the weekend because it come back to bite them because they lost to Williamstown, who have no affiliation with AFLW players or AFLW clubs. And credit to Williamstown for getting the win. Let's see what the Bulldogs do this week. Because to be honest, I really don't like it. The way they're doing it isn't fair. It may be within the rules, but it's just not fair. It's not fair not only on the other teams, it's not fair on your players that are missing games. Like, I can tell you right now, there is at least 5 players at that Bulldogs side that haven't had regular games that would be walk-up starts almost everywhere else in this competition team-wise. And some of them played in last year's grand final for the Bulldogs. So, I don't like it. Bulldogs, play your VFLW players, play them in their right positions, and play them in the league they deserve to be playing in. Let the AFLW players continue on with what they're doing, and let the VFLW players play the VFLW. Simple as that. There's your bonus edition of the world famous segment, Scoops Goes Bang. All right. So, look. The ladder after round 7 is as follows. So, North Melbourne, Box Hill, Essendon, Williamstown, in that order, are the top 4 currently, all on 20 points. North Melbourne have a percentage of 171.1. Box Hill have a percentage of 157.6. Essendon 134.9 and Williamstown 128.1%. Now, 2 points behind them on 18 points are Port Melbourne on a percentage of 156.9 and Sandringham with a percentage of 117.4. Collingwood are out of the top 6 by 2 points and 4% behind Sandy on 113.4. Darebin are also 2 points out of the top 6 and a percentage of 101.3. In 9th place on 12 points, still in the chance of the top 6, is the Western Bulldogs on a percentage of 118.4. And the 3 sides that are ruled out realistically, Carlton on 8 points on a percentage of 75.8. Second last on 0 wins and 0 points, Casey on 38.6%, and Geelong 0 wins, 0 points on 32.5%. So Geelong, Casey, and Carlton were never a chance to make finals this year, and that's proven to be the case. Now, Essendon, for me, have been the wild card of this year, and credit to them with how they've gone. Box Hill and North Melbourne are where I expected them to be. Port Melbourne and Williamstown I always knew would be around that top 6, if not make it. Sandringham the same, so not a surprise. Collingwood just outside, but they've won the last 3, and the way they're going, they will play finals. Sandy's kind of becoming a bit vulnerable at the moment, and they may miss out, which I hope they don't. But hopefully they get their win against the Bulldogs when they come back. No, sorry, Carlton, which they should do. Should do. They've already played Carlton too, so why are they playing Carlton twice? There you go. Already. When they haven't played some teams at all, like Essendon or Bulldogs, who they play the week after. But anyway, that top 6, I feel like, will be the top 6 with Collingwood coming in. Who for? Your guess is as good as mine. It may be Sandy, but it may be Port Melbourne as well, or Williamstown. I think Box Hill and North are locks. The other spots are up for grabs, but it's so tight. So you lose 2 games in a row, and you could be out of there just like that. Right, so let's review the round 7 games. Now, for when I go through the round 8 games, which are not this week, it's the week after, I will just kind of mention who's playing, not my predictions. I'll leave that for next week. So let's review the round 7 games, shall we? Right, so Essendon 3-7-25, defeated by Box Hill 6-6-42. 17-point victory to Box Hill. Essendon started all right. They looked like, might go right. Then Box Hill kicked a few goals in a row, kicked accurately, where the Bombers, I think, were like 1-5, so they couldn't capitalise on their good work. And Box Hill, when they scored, they kicked goals. Annabelle Embleton, I know, kicked one early, and it just got the roll, got the game going. Gabby Collingwood got a goal as well, so they ended up doing well. Box Hill, Bombers weren't disgraced. They kick a bit straighter, they'd probably win that, but it is what it is, considering they were 1-5. But Box Hill did kick 6-6. But, good game from Stacia Stevenson, Isla Baldwin, Gabby Collingwood, Paige Price, Eleanor Butler. For the Bombers, Jada Richardson played in the ruck with Layla Prince. Tia Davidge got a goal as well, who got 3 last week. So she's in good form and in the top 5, I believe, for the Coleman medal race at the moment, which is led by Monique Di Matteo and followed by Nike DeJock. It'll be between those 2, I think. But will someone else surprise everyone and be at the top? We'll wait and see. Tia Davidge is one to watch for the Coleman medal race. She keeps kicking 2 goals just like that every week. You never know. Casey 2-4-16, Carlton 9-2-56. Octavia Di Donato, Amy Trinidad, Emily Hurley, Nadia Von Betouch, the whole team. Matilda Fitzgerald, phenomenal. Casey, Meg McDonald had 25 touches and was great. The rest, just really disappointing. Carlton were phenomenal. This isn't the Carlton I've seen all year. Where's this been? Now they're playing Casey, which probably shows you where Casey is at. And, this may be a one-off for Carlton, but a massive win, a confidence booster for them. Going into Sandy next week, who are at their most vulnerable they've ever been all year. So you never know, but let's hope not. They were good. Meg McDonald, I said earlier, 25 disposals, like 8 clearances, like 14 contested possessions, about 60% efficiency, or just over that. Puts her work in every week. Just busts her ass off. I believe she's the captain off the top of my head. She's a star, Meg McDonald. And Casey, if they lose her, I worry for them how they'll really go. Now, Collingwood, 8-13-61 to Sandy, 1-2-8. 53-point victory to the Pies. And let me just tell you this right now. That game from Sandringham is the worst game from them all year and one of the worst individual team performances all year. Now, no matter who you've got on your side and who's missing, that was poor. Like, I know everyone tries, but Sandy will be really disappointed with this. They had, listen to this, 45 inside 50s Collingwood had, which is fantastic, phenomenal for 21 scoring shots. So they effectively scored about, off the top of my head, about 47% of the time they went inside 50, they scored. So basically half the time, effectively, they went inside, they scored. Now, is that on the forwards and the midfield not doing enough? Is it the defenders can get the blame? But 45 inside 50, so they're bound to score, Collingwood. So I think the midfielders would probably be disappointed, and in the ruck as well, and up forward, the pressure wasn't there. And the ball wasn't going in the forward line enough because it went in 13 times. Like, that's just terrible. It was 8 at three-quarter time. It was 1 time at quarter time. Like, I'm sure Lockie, the coach of Sandy, is not happy with that performance at all. Now, Collingwood missed a lot of gettable shots, a lot of easy shots. So if they kick straight, this could have been like 100 points. And that's concerning if you're a Sandy supporter like me or you're at the club. You're hoping this is a one-off. Collingwood are starting to get their form back. But as I said, to lose like that, it's just really disappointing. Now, Sandy's sole goal to Michaela Bloom from a good play from Sophie Locke through the midfield, that was the passage of the game for Sandy. But unfortunately, that's like one of the only highlights for Sandy. Literally one of the only highlights of the whole game. If you go watch my matchday vlog, the standard of umpiring in this game was horrendous. Tash Anwistle, who's been a great recruit for Sandy from East Freo in the VFLW competition, who should have been drafted last year, might I add. Like I said then, she was in my top 30 or so for my power rankings. How she wasn't drafted, I won't know. She's been a great recruit for Sandy. She got clotheslined by her opponent, no free. Then the same opponent jumped on her back, no free. That is the standard of umpiring in all competitions this season. Like, you got clotheslined, no free. That on its own is outright outrageous. Then to be jumped on her back, literally jumped on, straight in the back, and nothing was paid. That is one of the worst umpiring decisions I've seen all year. And I've seen a lot of competitions and a lot of games, and there's been a lot of disgraceful umpiring and disgraceful suspensions. But how two of the most obvious free kicks for this year was not paid. Like, the umpire wasn't blindsided or nothing like that. I'm pretty sure if you watch my footage, they're actually in the shot. So, well, the umpiring at all competitions is terrible. Absolutely terrible. But yeah, Sandy had a bit of the ball. So 222 disposals to 260. So they got the ball. They did nothing with it and couldn't get it past the midfield, really, which I think that's also a setup. Like, Chloe Saltry has had to play in the back line the last 2 weeks, and she was really good up forward. So they've missed her presence. Erica Fowler, who's played ruck and forward, they clearly missed her presence as well. Ariana Clark, who's our key forward, wasn't playing. Ali Hines, who is our backup ruck and playing up forward too the last few weeks, has been really good. She was a late out. So, you know, then we had the players get drafted to AFLW clubs. So a lot of changes. So you can expect a loss, but the way they lost, the amount of inside 50s was concerning, and hopefully we can rectify that against Carlton next week, which that's the next game. And I think they can, and I think they will. But they just had a close win over Carlton only about 5 weeks ago. So, and now that's without some of those players. Sophie Locked in play then, so that'll be a key addition to the next game compared to when we last played Carlton. But about 5 others are going to go out from that side, so who didn't play on the weekend. So maybe the break is a good thing for them. to rejuvenate and come back firing hard and get the win in Collingwood. Eastman, Bella Clark, Annie Muir was good as well. Courtney Jones, Chloe Hunt, Millie Peck, Talia Sanger was really good. Charlotte Brewer was good on the wing. Zoe McCurdy was good in the back line. Lily Rose Williamson was really good in the midfield. Erin McKinnon did well on the ruck. So they had an all-round team effort, which I'm sure their coach will be really proud of with Tom, but Sandy would not be happy at all. The next game to go through was Darebin 7-4-46 to Geelong 3-3-21. Now, Geelong started okay for once, but Darebin got a few goals, and then Monique Di Matteo kicked 5 goals in a row, basically, and put that game to bed at like halftime. Ange Gokus had like 17 tackles, was really good, but Caitlin Bunker and Alyssa Misford were their best 2 players. Lulu Beattie played a part as well. But yeah, great win for Darebin, who won 4 in a row. The Pies won 3 in a row. Darebin's won 4 in a row. They're 2 of the informed sides at the moment, those 2. Albeit Darebin's beat some sides around them on the ladder, but a win's a win, and you can only beat who's been put in front of you, right? Geelong, not their worst game, but they faded away pretty damn quickly, which is disappointing for Geelong. And they need to recruit better, as I said, for weeks upon weeks. But they can't really change that now. Williamstown 2-1-13 defeated the Western Bulldogs 1-0-6. Low scoring affair at Williamstown. It's always windy at Williamstown. Ash Thornycroft was really good. Emily Eves at 12 clearances. Ruby Mahoney did really well from Williamstown. That's her best game of her VFLW career for Williamstown, absolutely. Had 14 disposals, like 8 clearances. Rubes was really good. For the Bulldogs, Sarah Sonetti and Sarah Powsty were really good. Paula Povic played her first game for the Western Bulldogs, so well under her. Former Box Hill player, was actually on Box Hill's list this year. So, and it was an emergency only last weekend for Box Hill. So I don't know how the hell that could even happen. I didn't know that could happen. I'd love to find out why, but there we go. She played really well. Brooke Ward, who I've had on the podcast before, she was really good and had 7 tackles on debut. Had a long history of injuries for the last year and a half. Really, she's been injured for almost all that time. So it's great for Brooke to get a game and do well. VFLW debut as well. Former Rebels player for Greater Western Victoria Rebels in Ballarat Way. But yeah, low-scoring game. Williamstown kicked 2 goals at the end and got the job done. Kat O'Brien did really well on the ruck with Georgia Howes. Port Melbourne 15, North Melbourne 42. 2-3-15 to 6-6-42. North Melbourne did what I expected. Maybe not to that margin, though, considering they've lost the last few games. So credit to the Roos. Brett Gawley will be really happy they got the win and won well in the end. Nike to Jockey 3. It was very impressive. Mia Cafrey was good for Port Melbourne. Along with Eloise Ashley Cooper. Stella Reid was stellar. As I said earlier, she was in my team of the week for a reason. Charlotte Ryan played a part as well. So that wraps out the games from round 7. So I'm going to mention the next round of games, but I'm not going to do my predictions just yet. But the next game will be on Saturday, June 14th. 11:05 at Winton Oval. It'll be Western Bulldogs and Port Melbourne. Also on Saturday, 11:05 a.m. as well. Damn, these clashes again. Casey Fields, Casey Demons and Williamstown. 11:35 on Saturday, June 14th at the AIA. The AIA Centre, Collingwood and Essendon. Saturday, also 11:35, another clash. Box Hill at Box Hill City Oval against Darebin. That will be a really, really good game and we'll test Darebin and see where they're truly at. On Saturday at 2:45 p.m. at Avalon Airport Oval in Werribee, it's North Melbourne and Geelong. Should be an easy win for North. And the big game on the Sunday, the sole game on Sunday. Is it Saturday? The sole game on Sunday, 11:05 a.m. at Trevor Barker Beach Oval in Sandy. It is Sandy against Carlton. So they're the games for round 8. Now, I'll wrap up with this. You want to be on this show, please send me a message on Instagram, AFL Info Live. If you know any VFLW players or any other State League players or any AFLW players and would like to send them on the podcast in a goal kicking challenge and or interview or to co-host one of these shows or just be a part of the channel in some capacity, please send me a message on Instagram, AFL Live, and we'll try and get something sorted. And please follow the page too. If you're listening to this and you haven't followed any of my socials, please go do so. In particular, the Instagram one, AFL Live. I would greatly appreciate the support. I appreciate every single one of you that watch these episodes every week. I get some feedback from some people that do watch the show every week. So to those people, you know who you are, and thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. And for the players and family members of people that play in the competition that have come up to me at games or even just personally message me, saying they love the content I do and everything like that, I really do appreciate that. It means a lot, and I appreciate those players that get around and have a chat with me at games or online as well. Thank you all very much. The most important thing of all to remember is, come on, Sandy, and get the win next week. And no more buys. Get rid of the buys in every football competition that exists. Thank you.